God, I really want to play Dead Space again. As of this recording, at least, yesterday I rebought a old copy of Force Unleashed, so... Yeah, because again, that was another thing I lost. I was like, man, this game is still good. I remember it still being good. So, yeah, I need to get on that with Dead Space. Anyway, so, think of those questions. W. Simmons, moving on now to Toot Toot Sonic Warrior, who asks, if there ever is a fourth Back to the Future movie, Rick and Morty made a cameo, how would you write it? I think I would have it that they, during the event they go through alternate timelines and they actually end up in the Rick and Morty alternate timeline, and Rick would be like, hey, get the fuck out of my show! So, something like that. Anyway. Yeah, I had to get something to drink. But yeah, moving right along to thinking of that question, Toot Toot. Moving on now to DanMad297, who asks, what happens when Rick and Morty go to comic book universes like Marvel and DC? Rick would just be like, God, so many people dressed up in spandex and in spandex and capes. What is these people really have some serious issues? Yeah, you just look at everybody and be like, God, you people have some serious parent issues. Oh wait, your planet blew up? Let me laugh harder. Alright, Rick and Morty meet the Flash or Booster Gold. What do you think? I think with Booster Gold, Rick would be like, oh, you time travel? That was the most overused thing ever. Oh, and you just did it to get famous? I can't blame you. The future probably looks really shitty in the future. I'd imagine you want to come back and relive the bullshit that led up to it. And the Flash, I think that with Morty, it would be like, oh, cool, super speed. Oh, good, you can run fast and get tacos and come back in all of 2 seconds. How wonderful. What happens if Rick and Morty were in video game universes like Mega Man, Street Fighter, Sonic, etc.? Again, Rick would just be like, with Street Fighter, oh, you can do, the Hadouken and Shoryuken? Meet Laser Gun, bitch. Bzz. Thinking of those questions, Dan Mad. Moving on now to Nicholas Harley, who asks, what would happen if Rick and Morty met DBZ characters? I think Rick would be unimpressed. Oh, your hair turns color when you transform. How amazing. Here, let me play you the smallest violin of I Don't Give a Shit. Yeah, that's the thing, Rick would just belittle everybody. Morty meets the fishhook characters, what happens? I think he would look at, what's his name, Oscar, and be like, why do you sound like me? Why do you sound like me? Oh, God, Jesus Christ. It's because your voice actor has a limited range, Morty. Rick and Morty meet abridged Popo, what happens? Yeah, Popo would be like, you're cool. Or, he would look at Rick and be like, I like you. Do you want to drop a gallon of acid? Would I? Anyway. Anyway. So think of those questions, Nicholas. Moving on now to Ugly Media 2, who asks, Rick and Morty meet Starscream. What happens? Rick and Morty meet Starscream. What kind of hilarity would ensue? What would happen? What would happen? I think, yeah, even Morty could outsmart Starscream. He would just be like, hey, I can help you get to the throat, rule the Deceptive whatever, if you help me escape. Okay. Yeah, G1 Starscream could be a little gullible sometimes. Second question. Starscream summons Mr. Meeseeks. What happens? Mr. Meeseeks would need help from about 100 other Mr. Meeseeks to try to help him with Starscream with his problems. Yeah, it would not be fun. What happens if Rick becomes a new teacher at the Ghoul School? I think he would be like, so how old are you girls? oh, you're all immortal and you're all over 18. Basically, what I'm trying to ask is, are you all over 18? Okay, good. Meet me in the bedroom and you all get A's. Let's face it, that's what would happen. Anyway, staying with those questions, ugly media. Moving on now to Luke S618, S681. Okay, yeah. Do you think the Council of Ricks will wage war on the Galactic Federation in Season 3? I think it's a strong possibility that they will declare war on the Council of Ricks. I mean, the Council of Ricks will declare war on the Galactic Federation because, well, Rick Prime, or a version of Rick, has been captured. And even though some of the Ricks are evil and a little just psychotic, there are, like some people have said, there are good Ricks out there. And I think Morty would actually go to the Council of Ricks to help him, because who else better to save Rick than, well, Rick? At least that's what I think, is that, yeah, the Council of Ricks are definitely going to go to war with the Galactic Federation to get Rick out, or something of that nature. Anyway, so, think of that question, Luke. Moving on now to Vian. I cannot, Muhammad Abdullah, I hope I'm saying that name, but I'm just going to say Vian, because I'm afraid I mispronounced the name. But Vian asks, what do you think will happen to Evil Morty? Again, like I said, with the Evil Morty storyline, I'm thinking that the Evil Morty storyline may play into Season 3. He's just been biding his time, and I think with the missing Rick, Morty, like I said, may go to the Council of Ricks, and the evil Morty might see his chance to, unleash all kinds of unspeakable hell on everybody. Without Rick to protect Earth, yeah, he's probably going to move in. Alright? Favorite and least favorite episode. I don't really have a least favorite episode. Favorite episodes would be a lot from Season 2, and the both episodes, the Multiverse channels. The episode with the devil, that's hilarious. That's a really good one. Again, I don't really have a least favorite episode, honestly. Although the Purge episode was a little weak, I'll say that much. But it was still good, don't get me wrong. I just felt like they were just, like, really hitting you over the head that they really don't like the Purge. Do you think they'll ever revisit their original dimension? Possibly. Even though it's probably gone. Yeah, it's probably all gone to complete and utter shit, so... But who knows? You never know. Never say never. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Vian. Hope I'm saying that name. And I do apologize if I mispronounced the entire name on a whole. I do apologize for that. So moving on now to the Grey Goblin, who asks, Mirror Universe Rick and Morty. What do you think that would be like? Morty is the smart one and Rick is the cowardly sidekick? Rick, Deadpool, Carnage, Cesar Romero, Joker, and Negaduck play Cards Against Humanity. What happens? They would eventually play the game until Rick until Rick called Negaduck a cheater, or called him something else. He would call him another name that with an N just to like spite him, and just be like, the name is Negaduck, not what you said. I don't care. Bring it on, bitch. And then they would all get into a big bloody fight. Let's face it, the reason why I'm saying Rick would do all these horrible things needs question, because it's Rick. If you haven't, it's Rick. Come on, guys, it's Rick. We kind of figured this stuff would happen with him. Anyway. Rick holds some mutagen, gets hold of some mutagen and brings it home. What chaos ensues? What chaos does ensue with Rick and Morty? I think Morty would get mutated into something horrible, as well as Summer, and Rick would be like, "Oh great, now you're my own Bebop and Rocksteady, except you're more annoying." All right, Mike. So think of those questions, Grey Goblin. Moving on now to Mike Root, who asks, what do you think of them doing a crossover with these shows? Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, and MLP. I would like, as much as I would like to see them done, they're never going to happen because Rick is so adult. Although we did kind of get a pseudo at least a cameo, well, a pseudo crossover with Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty. In the final, I believe it was the final episode of Rick and Morty, and it connected with one of the episodes of Gravity Falls where Stan got some of his mug and some of his stuff, even his fez, sucked into a portal, and then all of his stuff came out, got spat out in an episode of Rick and Morty. It's a real quick Easter egg, and you really got to look for it, but it's there. Anyway. But, yeah, as much as I'd like to see them, I don't think it would happen. I think it would be hilarious as, like, in an episode of Gravity Falls, Stan is talking to a friend over the phone. He's like, I gotta call you back, Rick. And then in the other episode, and then you go to the latest episode of Rick and Morty, and Rick goes, whatever, Stan, you still owe me money. Click. Yeah. So something like that would be cool. So anyway, thank you for that question, Mike. Moving on now to John Kelly, who asks, do you like the idea of Rick and Stanford know each other? I like that idea. I like that idea, and maybe they have crossed paths, because again, you do see Alex Hirsch and Justin Roiland are actually close friends. And I wouldn't be surprised that, again, like I said in the previous question, that we get like some fun cameo, like fun Easter egg between the two shows somewhere down the line. Again, like we got in that one episode of Rick and Morty, and that referenced Gravity Falls. Anyway. Second question. If you can live in any world, which one would it be? None, because they all look pretty bad. They all have their own little weaknesses. Weaknesses, and that's putting it mildly, honestly. Alright, so Rick and Deadpool meet each other. What do you think they would think of each other? They're both batshit insane and try to kill each other? Yeah, Rick versus Deadpool, that'd be something I'd like to see. Anyway, thank you for those questions, John Kelly. Moving on now to Fire Tools. What hilarious hijinks would ensue if Rick and Morty jumped into Space Dandy, Stormhawk's, Black Lagoon, and Bakano universes? So with Space Dandy, yeah, that would be a lot of fun of seeing them travel with Dandy. Stormhawks, I kind of already talked with that. Black Lagoon, Rick would be probably getting it on with Bella Laika. And for Bakano, I think Rick would try to figure out the elixir of, that elixir that makes everyone immortal, and try to use it on himself and Morty. And Morty would be like, oh no, Rick, we can't become we can't become immortal, then I won't grow old, and what if I get with, Jessica, and, I have to watch her die, Rick? Oh, jeez, bitch, more for me. Anyway, second question. Rick and Morty versus Burning Legion, Zurg, and Daleks. What goes down? Rick is walking through a pile of dead demon Zurg and Daleks. That's what's going to happen. Anyway, third question. If you could give Rick and Morty a pet alien creature to tag along on their travels, what would it be? I don't know. Maybe something like a worm or something? Like a weird worm thing that, when scared, it crawls into Morty's head and takes control and makes him into a badass? I don't know. So think of those questions, Fire Tools. Moving on now to Andre Partridge, who asks, what happens if Rick and Morty accidentally find themselves in Stark Tower and meet Tony Stark for the first time? Rick would literally look at him and go, you suck. You make power armor? Oh, I can do that behind my, I can do that with one arm tied behind my back and my dick tied into a knot. Second, do you think there is more morally bankrupt super geniuses? Okay, wait, sorry, I messed up the question. Who do you think is a more morally bankrupt super genius, Rusty Venture or Rick? Gonna say Rusty, because he spends his money frivolously, whereas Rick tries to make get rich quick schemes that actually sometimes work. What happens if Zim tries to invade Rick and Morty's home dimension? Rick is just gonna one-hit kill him, or send him to a planet full of an S&M planet where he gets 50 Shades of Grey hard for the rest of his life. There you go. So think of those questions, Andre Partridge. Sorry to get something to drink. So moving on now to Bryce Diaz, who asks... What